So we're going to be pretending like, you know, you're at a family gathering, you've got an aunt or an uncle that you don't really care for, and they're coming up to give you a kiss. What's the first thing that you're gonna do? Naturally, you're gonna go, oh, exactly. Hey everybody, this is Mike, Calcine Chiropractic. I'm here with Tanisha today, and today we're going to be looking at some McKenzies or some functional movement patterns. We're going to be focusing the video today solely on the neck and the low back. But again, we can do McKenzies for basically every joint that we have. We have knee McKenzies, we have hip McKenzies. So any of those joints that you're having problems with, just know, even though this video is focused on the neck and specifically the low back, we can also help you out with that. We're just kind of going over what's a little bit more common, a little bit more popular here in the office. So today, like I said, Tanisha is going to be helping me out here. We're going to start with our cervical McKenzies. So with our cervical McKenzies, it's best to do it seated. So we're seated nice and tall. We're not slouched over. We're not hyperextended, you know, over exaggerating a proud chest. We're just at a natural, nice seated posture. So what we're going to be doing here is we are going to pretend that our head is on a train track, if you will. We don't want to go down. We don't want to go up. We want to go nice, straight, forward and back. So Tanisha, go ahead and pretend like you've never done this movement before, just so the audience can kind of learn it with us, if you will. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to start with our retraction. So we're going to be pretending like, you know, you're at a family gathering, you've got an aunt or an uncle that you don't really care for, and they're coming up to give you a kiss. What's the first thing that you're going to do? Naturally, you're going to go, oh, exactly. So that's going to be the whole movement. We're not going to do it that fast. It's not going to be that jerking motion, but we're going to go nice and controlled. We're going to go all the way back as far as we can. And then this is the part we have to emphasize here. When we return back to the movement, we want to go to a neutral neck position. So go ahead and do that for us, Tanisha. Perfect. So a lot of times when we end up doing this, and this is why if you're practicing this at home, try your best to either film yourself or have a friend watching you or a family member, because a lot of times, and Tanisha can do it with me, when we do that retraction backwards, a lot of our patients will want to overextend the neck forward, almost like you're a turtle kind of coming out of its shell. So we don't want to do that. We just want that nice retraction and then return to normal. So Tanisha, go ahead and get a couple reps going for us, and we're going to kind of talk through this movement. So again, it's not going to be as nice as Tanisha's movement if you're in a lot of pain. Totally normal. All we're really looking for is a little bit of pressure right in the back of the neck at that full extension. You should feel it maybe in the top, maybe a little bit lower, but you should feel it somewhere in this general area, that little bit of pressure. Now, with any of our McKenzie movements, we like to operate at a red light, green light basis. So let's pretend here that if Tanisha was in a lot of cervical pain, a lot of neck pain, the way that we would do a red light is if at any point in time, if we had radiating pain down either arms that got worse, let's say it was only going to the forearm, and during one of those repetitions that pain went down to the fingers, that would be what we would call a red light, meaning we're probably not either doing the motion correctly, or we might be doing a movement pattern that is actually counterintuitive to kind of healing or benefiting the area that we're going for. So again, if radiation increases, if pain at the area or at the site of your real cause of trouble, so bottom of the neck, top of the neck, wherever it may be, if that increases at all, that's going to be one of those red light situations. Now a green light, to say, hey, even though it might not be the most comfortable, but it's working, what that would look like is, let's say we do have that radiation of pain, like I said earlier, in the forearm. Let's say it's no longer in the forearm, but it's in the bicep, or even up there in the shoulder, but it hurts worse. Even though it's counterintuitive, that's actually going to be a green light, because we're localizing the pain back to the source of pain. Now, even if it's more intense in the neck, but we're losing that radiation, again, that's a green light. We're gonna wanna keep doing this. Now, With these movements, we actually want to be a little bit heavier on the repetition side. And again, I know the first couple aren't going to feel super comfortable, but as long as we can get ideally about 30 to 40 in per day, that's going to be really towards the goal that we want to see. There's not an ideal repetition count, but what we're really aiming for here is just a decrease in our symptoms. If your pain is decreasing at all, if your range of motion, maybe you can't turn as well, if that's suddenly getting better, that's a decrease in symptom, and that's going to kind of be that signal of, hey, maybe you've done enough at this point or for the day. Now let's go ahead and pause the video. We've already talked about the cervical McKenzies, the neck McKenzies. We're gonna go over to one of our bars now and we'll talk about the low back. We're doing part 2 of our McKenzie video. So if you didn't see the first video, we were over there on the exercise floor. We were covering the cervical or the neck McKenzie. Just as a quick kind of wrap up, if you will, our McKenzies are a functional movement pattern. Not really as much an exercise as more just a movement kind of pattern or a movement position you can get yourself into that will help alleviate pain in any of your joints that you have. Today's video, we're focusing solely on the low back and on our neck, but again, like I said in the previous video, we have McKenzies for hips, we have McKenzies for knees. Pretty much any of your joints, any of your extremities that are bothering you, we can end up doing a McKenzie for in some form of variation, because ultimately what it is it's movement in the plane that your body is kind of inclined towards disagreeing with. So for today, what we're looking at is a lumbar McKenzie extension would be the full name. This is for somebody who has more of a rounded posture. You know, you work at your desk a lot, you kind of have that natural rounding of your shoulders. That means your body is more prone to liking that flexion, that forward tilt. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving the body some of the movements that it's not really used to throughout the day. So that would be the extension. So kind of opposite of that forward tilt that you might be into from a sedentary job. Now for today, we're going to be focusing our video on the variation that you would more than likely come into the office and receive for your first treatment or exercise day, if you will. And that's going to involve a bar like you can see here in the video. Now, that being said, we want this video to still be informative to those of you who are at the house. So kind of after we talk about it a little bit, I'll show a variation that you can do just with your hands and just standing up tall. I'd recommend using a mirror so you can still see yourself, maybe even filming or using a partner, just so you can make sure you're standing up, you know, correctly. And we'll kind of go over what you should be looking for. But again, today we're going to focus the video solely on using the bar and that at-home variation. But we do have a variation that you can do on the ground as well. So if you want us to do that, you know, in an additional video, kind of cover some more grounds, just go ahead and leave us a comment and that'll be the next video that Tanisha and I here do, okay? So anyways, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and look at the extension over the bar, a McKenzie 5, as you might hear here in the office. So what we're looking for, and we can kind of position ourselves to the side. Tanisha, take a step forward for me real quick. We want our bumper, our cushion of the bar to be right above where the waistline or where the belt would be. So Tanisha, go ahead and step back in for me, and that's perfect. So now when we're doing this movement, Tanisha is going to go over it kind of at a full speed, but I'll show you what it's going to look like in a kind of half frame at first, if you will. So we're going to be holding the bar at a comfortable position. We're going to begin by taking a deep breath, a nice and full breath. So now as we exhale that breath, we're going to lean about 5 degrees backwards. We don't want to lean too far. We just want to initiate that movement. We're going to take another deep breath. And we're going to exhale and lean back again about another 5 to 10 degrees, and we're going to return to normal. So that was slowed down again. We're in a full-sized, or full-sped repetition. We're not going to break it down and hold each position. It's just going to be a nice here, there, and return to normal. That would be a normal speed. So let's go ahead and have Tanisha here model what over the bar is going to look like for us. And we'll go ahead and kind of talk about it as well. So take that first deep breath and exhale, get a little bit of movement. Perfect. So again, this might be, just like with the neck, this might be a little bit more movement than you're capable of doing at the house, because again, Tanisha isn't in a lot of pain. This is more a demonstrational purpose. And so, Tanisha, just go ahead and keep going through those repetitions, just so at home we can kind of see. Anyways, if you're only getting, you know, a 5-degree motion and you're feeling pressure in that low back, kind of right where that bar would be, that's actually exactly where you want to be, and go ahead and return to normal. This shouldn't be like feeling like you're hyperextending, like you're getting a really big stretch. You should just start to feel an initial pattern or an initial pause of pressure, and then we're going to come back up. So when we're at the house, obviously it's hard to replicate this. It's hard to get a countertop that's right above where the waistline would be. And so that's why I'm going to go ahead and show the viewers now how we would do this exact movement if we didn't have the bar in front of us. So what we would do is we would place our hands either on the full part of the back or even at the sides, and we're going to just pretend like that's the bar, and we're going to bend straight backwards from our hands, just like Tanisha and I are doing. And again, you're going to return to normal. So Tanisha is going to go ahead and model a couple of those repetitions for us. And I want everybody at home to really, really focus on making sure that we're standing up nice and tall like Tanisha is. We want to eliminate any of that hunching that we might be doing. And so that's why I said earlier, if you can get a family member, if you can get a friend, or even if you can just film yourself, that's going to be ideal. I want to avoid doing this in a mirror because I don't want you to be hooked to the side the whole time and then worry about getting some neck problems as well. So let's either film ourselves doing this, or let's have a friend and let's just make sure our form is okay. Or you can come by to the office. You can always come into Calcine Chiropractic. We'll get you taken care of. You know, like I said earlier in the video, we do have plenty of other McKenzies that we can do. I said earlier to drop a comment if you want to do floor McKenzies, but go ahead and drop a comment as well if you have some knees, if you have some hips, if you have anything that you want us to kind of go over in an additional video. All right, guys? Like I said, this is Mike. I got Tanisha with me, and we'll see you next time, okay?